What if your financial life doesn't change slowly, but shifts at one clear number? Most people believe real security starts at $1 million, but that idea keeps them focused on something far away while missing the point where things actually begin to feel different. There is a level where stress starts to fade, decisions become clearer, and money finally gives you breathing room instead of constant pressure. It's the moment when you stop reacting to money problems and start feeling more in control of your direction. Why $100,000 changes your financial life forever. We'll explain why this number becomes a real turning point and how reaching it quietly changes the way you think, act, and build wealth moving forward. 1. You gain real freedom. Reaching $100,000 creates a level of control that most people spend years trying to reach. You're no longer making decisions based on urgency or pressure. Instead of feeling like every choice must protect your next paycheck, you begin to see your options more clearly. This changes how you approach work, opportunities, and daily decisions. You don't feel forced to accept situations that drain your energy or limit your growth. You can pause, think, and choose what actually fits your direction. That freedom doesn't come from unlimited wealth. It comes from having enough behind you to create space between you and financial pressure. And once that space exists, your decisions become more intentional instead of driven by survival. 2. You have a strong safety net. At this level, money starts to play a different role in your life. It's no longer just something that moves in and out each month. It becomes a layer of protection that sits quietly in the background, ready when you need it. Unexpected situations don't feel like threats to your stability anymore. Whether it's a sudden expense, a change in income, or something unplanned, you have the ability to handle it without everything falling apart. This creates a sense of stability that's hard to fully understand until you experience it. You're not constantly preparing for the worst because you've already planned for it. And that changes your perspective. You begin to see money as something that supports you, giving you time, flexibility, and the ability to respond calmly instead of react. 3. You stop living paycheck to paycheck. At this point, your financial life starts to feel different in a clear way. Your expenses are no longer chasing your income, and your money begins to stay ahead instead of always catching up. You're not waiting for your next paycheck to fix what already happened. Instead, what you already have is enough to handle what's in front of you. This creates stability. Your decisions feel less rushed, and your day-to-day life becomes more controlled. Instead of starting over every month, you begin building forward without interruption. Over time, that steady progress becomes the base for everything that comes next. 4. You can invest consistently. At this level, investing stops feeling optional or uncertain. It becomes a normal part of your routine, something you can maintain even when things change in the short term. You're no longer asking if you can afford to invest. You've already created the space to do it regularly, which allows your money to start working in the background. This is where progress begins to grow faster. Instead of relying only on what you earn, your investments begin adding to your growth over time. The results may not feel big at first, but consistency builds quietly. Each step adds up, creating momentum that becomes easier to notice the longer you stay consistent. 5. You earn passive income. At $100,000, your money starts to produce results you can actually see and feel. The returns are no longer small or easy to ignore. They begin to feel like a real part of your financial life. This doesn't replace your income right away, but it changes how you think about money. You begin to understand that your progress isn't only tied to your effort anymore. Your money starts contributing alongside you. It grows, compounds, and creates additional income over time. That change is simple but important. It shows that wealth builds through consistency, where your money slowly takes on a bigger role in supporting your future. 6. You think long-term. At this level, your perspective begins to grow beyond immediate results. You're no longer focused on quick wins or short bursts of progress. Instead, you start considering how your decisions will play out over months and years. This changes how you approach money, work, and opportunity. You begin prioritizing consistency, sustainability, and growth that builds over time rather than chasing temporary gains. You think in terms of systems instead of moments. Each action becomes part of a larger plan, and that creates a sense of direction that feels steady and controlled. Over time, that mindset becomes one of your greatest advantages because it allows you to build something that lasts. 7. You avoid high-interest debt. With $100,000 behind you, your relationship with debt begins to change. You're no longer relying on credit to manage everyday expenses or unexpected situations. Instead of using high-interest options as a solution, you have the ability to handle costs directly. This reduces the amount of money lost to interest and keeps more of your income working in your favor. This creates a cleaner financial structure. Your progress is no longer slowed by compounding debt, and your resources can move toward growth instead of recovery. Over time, avoiding high-interest debt helps preserve the stability you've built and keeps your financial direction moving forward. 8. You build real confidence. Reaching $100,000 changes how you feel about money on a deeper level. You're no longer reacting emotionally to every situation because you've already created a level of stability behind the scenes. This confidence doesn't come from showing anything outwardly. It comes from knowing you can handle what comes next. When unexpected situations appear, you don't immediately feel pressure or uncertainty. Instead, you approach decisions with a calmer mindset. You think more clearly, and actions reflect that clarity. Over time, that steady confidence replaces the emotional highs and lows that used to come with money, and that allows you to move forward with more control and less hesitation. 9. You can handle bigger goals. At this point, your focus begins to expand. You're no longer limited to small, short-term targets. Larger goals start to feel realistic because you have the foundation to support them. This is where ideas like starting a business, investing in real estate, or scaling your income begin to make sense. You have the resources and stability to approach these moves with structure instead of risk. You're able to plan, test, and adjust without putting everything on the line. That flexibility allows you to take calculated steps toward growth. Over time, those steps create new opportunities that weren't accessible before, simply because you now have the capacity to pursue them. 10. You gain control over your time. One of the most noticeable changes at this level is how you experience your time. You're no longer constantly chasing money or feeling like every hour must produce income. Instead, you have the flexibility to structure your time in a way that supports your priorities. You can focus on what matters, whether that's improving your skills, exploring new opportunities, or simply creating a more balanced routine. This doesn't mean you stop working. It means your work becomes more intentional, and your time is no longer driven by urgency. Over time, that control creates a sense of stability that extends beyond money, shaping how you live and how you move forward. 11. You can help others if needed. Reaching this level gives you the ability to support the people around you without putting yourself at risk. You're no longer in a position where helping someone else creates stress for your own situation. Whether it's family, close friends, or unexpected circumstances, you have the capacity to step in when it matters. That support comes from stability, not sacrifice. This changes how you view money. It becomes something that extends beyond your personal needs and begins to have a broader impact. Over time, that ability to help others adds a different kind of value to your financial progress, one that goes beyond numbers. 12. You build strong financial habits. By the time you reach $100,000, your progress is no longer based on random actions. It's supported by habits that you've repeated consistently over time. Saving, investing, and managing your money have become part of your routine. You're not forcing these behaviors anymore. They happen naturally because they're already built into how you operate. This makes discipline easier to maintain. You're not relying on motivation or short bursts of effort. You're following a structure that keeps you moving forward. Over time, those habits continue to strengthen, making future progress more stable and more predictable. Reaching $100,000 isn't just a financial milestone. It's a turning point in how your entire life begins to feel and function. The changes aren't loud or immediate, but they show up in the way you think, the way you decide, and the way you move through everyday situations. You begin to notice that pressure fades, options expand, and your decisions come from a place of clarity instead of urgency. What once felt uncertain starts to feel structured, and progress becomes something you can see and trust. This level doesn't solve everything, but it creates a foundation that supports everything that comes next. And once that foundation is in place, the path forward becomes less about catching up and more about building with intention.